Hi guys, so I wanted to do this quick little video on how to cut swimwear, and the reason I wanted to do this is because yesterday I was actually at my cutter's and he showed me how to cut swimwear. So swimwear is actually one of the hardest things to cut, and the reason for that is because the swimwear fabric, it's extremely slippery. So when you're cutting it, there's actually a special technique to cutting the patterns for swimwear. So I just wanted to show everyone how swimwear is cut, and I will also be doing another video on how to sew the swimwear. So I hope you guys like this video. Let me know what you guys think, if you guys like it, if you guys want videos on how to cut the garments and how to sew the garments. So yeah, I hope you guys like it. Thanks. So you will start by placing down a piece of brown paper, or cutting paper as we call it. You could also use any type of paper if you don't have this brown paper in particular. Then you will lay down all the fabrics you are going to cut for that pattern. And what I did was I went ahead and laid down all the pieces of the pattern on top of the fabric just to kind of get an idea how I was going to position the pattern so that I don't waste too much fabric. So once you do that, then I took them off. I took the pattern off, and what you want to do is lay a piece of paper on top of the fabric. And the reason you do this is because it actually makes it easier for you to cut your pattern if it's already cut into pieces like that. But normally you could also print a pattern and it would be printed on the actual paper, on the actual white paper. However, this is a pattern that I've already used for some samples that I'm making for swimwear, and they were already cut, so I just went ahead and did it this way. Now you can either put weights on the pattern so that it doesn't move, or you can also use a spray, which is an adhesive, and I used this one. It's a 3M Super 77 multi-purpose adhesive, and it actually works really well. So what I did was I went ahead and added the spray onto the pattern and onto the back of the pattern and just glued it onto the white paper. But I also kept the weights, and the reason you want to add the weights and keep them there is because that way when you're cutting it, you're not moving the entire fabric and messing up your pattern pieces. That way you get accurate cutting pieces. But as you're cutting them, you're also removing them. So the way I started was you always have to lay your left hand on top of the fabric as you're cutting it, and you're moving it as you're cutting the pattern pieces as well. So the reason that you do this is because, again, this is a really slippery fabric and it actually slips so easily. It feels like butter, so it's really hard. And when you're cutting, I also recommend that you are placing pieces of tape on the sides as you're cutting the pattern. This will help you keep your fabric in place and not have it move around so much. So, and I'll show you in another section of the video how to do that. This is the first piece of pattern that I was actually cutting. And what I did was, that's extra fabric right there, so we just went ahead and just removed it. This will make it easier for you to cut your pattern. So that's pretty much trash. You're not going to use that. So here's another part of the pattern. And this is actually, again, for a swimwear sample that I'm making. It is for a wrap top, and it's actually super cute. And I did it in a blush color, which is super in right now. It's very popular. And I also did it in aqua and black. So see how I'm moving my hand forward as I'm cutting? and you want to be very careful. This is actually a professional machine, but if you don't have a professional machine, you could actually use scissors. The reason I used the professional machine was because I wanted to show everyone how actual garments are made, or in this particular video, how swimwear is cut. But you can also, again, use scissors. I've also used scissors to make some of my samples for swimwear. But because I layered so many fabrics, it was a lot easier for me to actually use this cutting machine. And these curves right here, those are actually the hardest ones to do because you can't lift the machine up. You just have to kind of keep rolling it and just moving your wrist as you're doing it. And it's a very heavy machine, but this is what the pattern should look like. And see how it looks pretty straight. So it wasn't too bad. That's the tape that you actually have to add as you're cutting those pieces. That way your fabric doesn't move around. And this is basically what your pattern will end up looking like. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys liked it, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up.